I pushed the button. I want everyone to know that. I pushed the button. Morning, everybody. This is Justice's Waiting Room. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. Hopefully, you can hear me. First things first, off rip. Every time you see someone say, now that the United States is at war, I want you to correct them. Without a formal declaration of war, Donald Trump and this regime have illegally bombed Iran. And what's even worse than there was no formal declaration of war approved by Congress, and Donald Trump illegal and this regime illegally bombed Iran. They telegraphed it so badly that Iran was even able to move its nuclear stockpile. And those bombs had casualties, but it did not actually um, deter anything. All you did was create an enemy. See, I've always prided myself on not having, yeah, somebody made what I'm pretty sure is a racist comment because I got two notifications back to back from TikTok. It's like, nope, we got it, Jared. So yeah, a lot of people are using Donald Trump's illegal bombing of Iran as a springboard for their racism. And I just want to point out up front two things this morning that bother me. One is when people are already saying things like, now that we're at war. And this is how I know that none of you have any idea what you're talking about. Please, dear God, this action should be condemned and and Donald Trump should get verbally slaughtered. Verbally. Like people should just be chastising the hell out of Donald Trump. We are not at war. There was no formal declaration of war. Congress did not approve this. And oh, by the way, Donald Trump is such a fucking unreliable human being that he talked about what he was going to do before he did it. So I get it. I get it. Your body and your brain are reacting as if you're at war. But what you're anticipating is the retaliation, is whatever Iran does in response. Okay. I find it funny. It's just funny to me when we're holding Donald Trump accountable that people are so quick to be like, Joe Biden did that. Joe Biden did what? What did Joe Biden do? TikTok. Having a time here. That was awful. So here are the comments so far on TikTok. Um, we the people don't care what you think. You're very uneducated, and it's Y-O-U-R, which, okay, okay. So I don't know who Ken is, but that's my dad's name, and if that is my dad, I just want you to know that's the nicest thing you've ever said. So, thanks, Dad. Bye. I don't have space for that stress. Biden did too in December. Okay, so when you want, this is when you want to go on live and yeah, through propaganda, you might read up. Like your sentence structure is sixth grade. You need to work on that, and then we can talk. Okay. So I'm gonna keep talking. Yeah, I don't know who you think you're advising. We've been doing this for 7 months straight on multiple platforms. There's already 60 people here on a Sunday morning. Is by the way, the Indiana Pacers, your Indiana Pacers, your Indiana Pacers are playing in Game 7 tonight in the NBA Finals. Okay. Turns out, turns out, candidate No New Wars is trying his hand at warmongering. Mhm. I love how people come on. Yeah, I think that if you're an American abroad, you're in danger. You think Pacers will win tonight? I certainly think that I am the most confident I've ever been in the Game 7 of an NBA Finals that the team I'm rooting for has a chance to win. Most confident ever. They're deep. Pacers are deep. If somebody's having a bad night, you've got people that can eat minutes that can be productive. Hmm. Hmm. Yep. Is it going to be tough to do on the road against Oklahoma City, who's like the best team in the NBA? Yeah, but they already said if the Pacers win this NBA Finals, they will have gone through the toughest road to an NBA championship if they beat Oklahoma City, which is like, come on, if you're Halliburton, that's the thing. That's the one you want. This is the one you want. You can't let this one get away. Because if you win this one, you had the toughest road to an NBA Finals championship by the numbers. Good morning, Russ. Hey, 121 people on TikTok. This is where shit gets bananas. Just letting you all know. Hey, a social media firm did they did a study on Donald Trump and Elon Musk and all of the unsavory people that you and I don't like, right? Like Charlie Kirk, for example. And they found out that 90% of their following is fake. Hmm. That's right. The people that you dislike the most are the people that buy followers. That's right. And I just want to point this out. I don't understand. There are multiple comments on TikTok about Diddy and oil. And I know that it's just weird. I'm just throwing that out there. It's just weird. You're talking about sexual deviant, right? And we're just like bringing him up in conversation multiple times. I think that's fucking weird, man. Maybe think about somebody else instead of thinking about Diddy all the time. Thought about it? Because it's troubling. I mean, I appreciate your effort. I really don't know what to do with my hands. I would block you, but I'm just like, what other words does it know? But yeah, a social media firm did an audit of Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and they found that 90% of their following is fake because they buy all their followers. So I say all that to say they're not nearly as popular as they think they are. But that just means that there's like a 90% chance when you have a negative interaction with someone on the internet and they're like, saying stupid shit in your comments. That's a bot. There's an overwhelming odds it's a bot. In fact, I just read an article from Forbes the other day that so many active users have just stopped using Twitter. Oh, is that music to my fucking ears? So many active users have stopped using Twitter, like stopped posting on Twitter, stopped commenting on Twitter, uh, that it's been overrun by bots. And so again, I had been saying the soul is gone from Twitter, but it's official. So many active users have left Twitter as a platform that it's just been infected by bots. It's just bots all the way down. So every day from 8 a.m. to 9:30, we talk about politics. Okay. So the story of the however long until this shit is somehow one upped, right? Garfield said, "I'm not allowed to message." I don't know what that means. Jared, why has the ICC not arrested Bibi for his war crimes? Because Bibi is alone in his castle with heavy guard and travels with a an entourage of people, and he sits in Tel Aviv and otherwise travels only to places where he'll be allowed to move about freely. And he, it's an unfortunate way to die, right? Where there are certain places he goes, he just gets arrested immediately. I mean, he had to get permission to go to a funeral and not get arrested internationally. So it's because of the money. Let's just say that. Israel has all kinds of fucking money. And so they've been bribing people forever. And don't get this twisted. The United States, 100%, United States has their hands all over Israel. And I've said many times, Israel was created in 1948 by David Ben-Gurion, who was then the head of the Jewish Agency. So it's not even like 100 years old. It's not the Israel from the Bible. It was created because the United States needed a strategic partner in the Middle East. Basically, Israel was created to mimic the United States' expansionist and imperialist ways. It's doing what it was created to do. Okay? I'm not saying I'm supporting it. I'm just saying it's doing what it was created to do. And what happened is we realized that war is inevitable, conflict is inevitable, that Russia had basically been giving all its money away to people to fight Americans in foreign wars. Jesus, Jared. So keep this in mind. If you voted Republican, every elected Republican took money from Russia. So that just means that you're okay with voting for someone who took money from someone that had bounties on American soldiers. So don't pretend to be, oh, I care about our troops and shit. Baby girl. No, ma'am. And yeah, I said it. What you should be doing is deleting Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter. Start shopping locally. Start building community. Marcus Hunter 92 asked, "Do you think we're going into World War War 3?" Okay. And no, war requires a formal declaration and congressional approval. What Donald Trump did was illegal. I don't know who the fuck you're talking to, Martha. Marine Corps, infantry. You're telling a disabled veteran to go sign up. No, you. I know you wasn't talking to me. I know you're about to be like, I'm so sorry. I was not talking to you. I know you're about to do that. In front of all these people. It's the most attention you're going to get all day. Yep. You need to learn to grow and harvest your own food. I again, one of the things you're gonna have to address. Somebody said, name three wars USA won than they own. Okay. What do you think Congress will with Trump banning the bombings without approval? So the first story that I shared was AOC says that's impeachable. There. So elected official says that's impeachable. Impeach his ass. Republicans only go so far, right? They may have all taken money from Russia. That doesn't make them all traitors. It just makes them unethical. Okay. Don't get too cocky in the comments bragging about wars we won when you fought in none. I wouldn't get too hyped up about wars we won. Russ, I've read a lot of stories that have been pretty disheartening. Thank God that me and everyone I've ever met in my life, I just want to make sure I say that to a camera pretty often. Uh, no one I know or have ever known calls themselves a Democrat or Republican. So who the fuck are you talking about? The only people that I think are Democrat and Republican are politicians. So the word from Democrats is that they need new leadership. You goddamn right. I've been saying, what's the Democratic platform? While your brain overheats trying to come up with the Democratic platform that you can spit out. Come on, what is it? Oh, there isn't one. How about the Republican Party? What's their platform? Because you can't believe what they say, right? Because they don't do what they say they were gonna do. And one of the things that I want to talk about is when people say stuff, they want to have conversations about the United States winning a war on its own, and how stupid that is. Do you know that there are entire countries in the world that exist because of our military? What the fuck are you talking about? It just sounds stupid. Again, as somebody that just served, you know that there are like whole ass countries and whole governments and whole places in the world that have democracy because of the United States. So we've been spreading that bitch. Capitalism, sprinkling some democracy so that people don't revolt. Yep. Yep. That's what we've been doing. And it sucks. I hate it. People are starving. hmm Most of the people that I talk to aren't able to save money. Most of the people that I talk to blew through their savings trying to survive COVID. And the thing about my thoughts on nuclear weapons is that if we get to have them, other people got to have them, and you need someone in the Middle East that has them. And if we don't know each other, don't try to get on my live. Not when there's 100 fucking people here. Would you share the microphone if you had 100 people with a fucking stranger? No, you wouldn't. But we needed an ally in the Middle East, and Israel was the highest bidder. So they coaxed the United States into getting involved in this. But I want you to know that they telegraphed this so badly that Iran was able to move their nuclear stockpile, and this didn't actually impact nuclear waste. And I want to make sure that we say uh, Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza, free Palestine, and Russia illegally invaded Ukraine, and Russia's getting their fucking ass kicked. Slava Ukraine, by the way. When I leave my house, yes, it has something with camo on it. Shut up. But I have this NAFO. It's not dirty. It has doggies on it. If you don't know what that is, you should look it up. Here, I'll give you the website. Okay. So I don't know about you, but I always look for like good places to spend money and stuff to wear that makes me happy. The North Atlantic Fellow Organization fundraises via with merch. Okay. This is how you fund Ukraine repelling Russia. You hear my dogs. My wife just left, so we'll have to suffer through my dogs whining. They're eating, so it's not like they're without. All right, so here's where the shit starts to get weird. Okay, so I think everything is a fucking um a distraction, and that there's always something else going on. And again, Donald Trump and this regime telegraphed this bombing so badly that Iran was able to move their entire nuclear stockpile from 3 sites, and you blew up some concrete. Awesome. Um, don't do too many backflips trying to defend it. Okay. There's no defending illegally bombing Iran. There's no defending that. Nope. That's stupid. And understand that Israel is committing a fucking genocide. And so when Israel does something, they're not our ally. So I don't know why we're like, oh, we bombed those places because Israel couldn't reach them. What? What? I literally have, yeah, U.S. troops are not motivated to go to Iran. Yeah, no, no. And the thing about it is, it will be in response to whatever Iran's retaliation is. And the thing about it is, what's just going to be a horrible waste of life either way. Um, I am not for military action uh, without a like really gonna have to do something here. I think there's no way Donald Trump doesn't get held accountable for what he did. And I think what he did was a distraction from the fact that here's what I see. that I'm like, why would this happen at this time that does this? Oh, it's because the Department of Justice has demanded Colorado turn over all records related to the 2024 federal election. So they think they can use this hypersonic Iran missiles to take from our carrier. Yeah, I know. Okay. So understand this opportunity. How you're feeling right now, thinking the U.S. might have plunged itself into World War III. Hey, it's a good time to start protesting. What do you say? What do you say? Cindy Lou Who said to repeat what you said about Colorado? Yeah. So the Department of Justice has demanded that Colorado turn over all records related to the 2024 federal elections. Colorado Secretary of State Gina Griswold says President Donald Trump has weaponized the DOJ to target perceived enemies. So, what Donald Trump's Department of Justice is doing is going into these states and removing the records. Remember how we talk all the time about Executive Order 13848? How do you get around it? How about you go in and delete all the election records? Okay. Uh, no, I don't. Well, my 41-year-old person thinks that there's not going to be a civil war. That's stupid. D- Democracy's going to win. Protest, boycott, and strike will win. The people will win. That's what's 100% going to happen. Because keep in mind, we know that ICE does not have real bullets in their guns, that the President of the United States can 100% federalize the National Guard, but then he can't order them around because now they're part of the US military. And while he is the commander in chief, his ability only goes so far. So not only uh, are people already standing up, right? There's a reason I bought a LA Dodgers hat and a Harvard hoodie, right? To support the institutions that are having the nuts to stand up to this motherfucker. And they win, and they win. Think about this. Harvard won. Harvard won that. Think about think about this exchange with Donald Trump. Like 11 former billionaire Harvard graduates donated like $3.1 billion dollars, more than made up for what they lost. Yep, yep. But what I think has to happen beyond a shadow of a doubt is we have to create a workers' party, a union party, a fucking, I hate to say it like this, a gay party. Like, you need the people that show up to fucking protest, which is the LGBTQIA plus, and people who give a fuck about other people, union members. You need them to party. You need them to party. You need them to get together. The people that are in unions and the LGBTQIA plus, they gotta like, you gotta gel and you gotta start hanging around because the bottom line is who shows up and shows out when there's time to protest, boycott, and strike, and that's your fucking gay friends because they had to fight for all their fucking rights, so they gotta fight for everybody else. And tell me my eyes didn't fucking deceive me when I've been to Pride and I've seen those people, and I go to the fucking March 14th protest, and who was there? Fucking LGBTQIA plus veterans. That's who was at that fucking march. And then pride, pride, right? But then I've been to multiple fucking protests since the March 14th protest. And who did I fucking see? Outside of Pride and outside of that veterans protest. Fucking the LGBTQIA plus. They actually fucking show up and show out at protest. So you know they vote. If they're fucking making sure that they're off work so that they can protest, you know they'll vote. You know they'll vote. If they're in a union, if they're part of a union and they show up to union meetings, they pay union dues, they vote. They vote. Union membership has been on a fucking downtrend for 70 fucking years. We have to reverse that trend. Look at what business is fucking doing to us. Look at what capitalism is doing to us. They've got us so beaten down that the president of the United States can illegally bomb a country, and our acceptance of it, our willingness to be like, well, I guess we're in war now. And it's like, bro, no. Donald Trump does not have that power. The president does not have that power. Congress makes that decision. What Donald Trump did was illegal. A lot of people are in despair. They're depressed, right? I've had people reach out to me and say, I quit smoking, I quit drinking. Now I keep thinking I'm gonna die in a nuclear holocaust. And it's just like, oh my God. Well, I certainly hope not, because that means I die in a nuclear holocaust. What are you talking about? But I think what Donald Trump did was telegraphed. Can I read Article 2 out loud? No, but I'm gonna read this AI shit. Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution outlines. Ooh, I don't think appeal. That's stupid. We got kicked off of TikTok. I think it's because I said nuclear holocaust. I'm definitely filing for. I wasn't doing anything. Do you think I was doing anything that was bannable? There's no way. That's crazy. Yeah, my live got suspended. I think it's because I said nuclear holocaust twice. Like it'll get overturned. I wasn't doing anything that violates TOS. I think I just disrupted their AI. But yeah, that person asked me to read Article 2. So I'm going to read this blurb from the AI. It says Article 2 of the US Constitution outlines the powers and responsibilities of the executive branch, primarily focused on the president. It established the president's term, method of election through electoral college, qualifications for office, natural born citizen, 35 years old, resident for 14 years, and oath of office. It also delineates specific powers, such as the president's role as commander in chief of the armed forces, the power to make treaties with Senate approval, nominate and appoint ambassadors, public ministers, consuls, and Supreme Court justices, and grant reprieves and pardons. So here is a link. Yeah, I got kicked off. I got kicked off TikTok. I'm assuming it was a mistake. If it goes to second level appeal, we'll win. I'm not worried about it. I mean, it's typical for us, right? I mean, think about it. I thought I'd learned my lesson, and I wasn't interacting with the shit comments as much. It was a narrative op. I want to make sure we say, hey, you want to talk about false flag? How about bomb a country your allies at war with? Say you completed the mission, you did what you were supposed to do. Dude, I told you. They telegraphed the shit out of that. Iran was able to move their entire nuclear stockpile before them fucking bombs hit. So it wasn't a successful strike. So make sure you have your talking points ready. When people are like, "Oh, we're in World War III. Hope this doesn't disrupt business." Bitch, what? What? We are not in World War III. There was no formal declaration of war. What Donald Trump did was illegally bomb empty bunkers. Say it. He fucking sucks. This shit is awful. I'm so sorry. Hmm. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't usually take that long. Yeah, I'm sorry for getting us kicked off TikTok. We did have a couple hundred people in there. Do you think it was when somebody asked me to read Article 2? That's why we got kicked off. I think it's because I said nuclear holocaust twice in like 20 words. What do y'all think? But yeah, I want to make sure, uh, I use my platform to say, just like, um, I don't think that it's good use of brain cells for me to be anti-gun and anti-war when everyone that doesn't look like me is in danger. It's not a good use of brain cells. That's how you get beat up, is being anti-gun and anti-war. I'm not in danger. What this man does largely will not impact me, but it can have a very real impact on the people that I care about, right? Like one of the things I think about is when this motherfucker does violent shit, is my little cousins are in the Marine Corps infantry and they look up to motherfuckers like Donald Trump. So they're the kind of people to go do his bidding that are being emboldened by this. I'd argue Donald Trump not being held accountable corrupts other people because they realize, fuck it, YOLO, right? Like Drake said. Bob said that they're kicking you off for the way you look at the camera now, too. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know we're we like to simplify things so that it's easy to understand. But us being at war is not one of those times. So again, the intelligent use of my platform is to say, I'm not for telegraphing anything. You get what I'm saying? I'm not the kind of person to talk about it. I'm the kind of person to do it, and we'll talk about it afterward. We'll accept the award, not asking for permission. You need your military advisors coming to you and telling you that they need to do this. We need to do this now. That's not what happened. Donald Trump did this because Benjamin Netanyahu stuffed his pockets. Notice Iran didn't come to the United States and beg us to stop. They went to fucking Putin and said, "Hey bitch, rein in your boy." You got to remember Iran and Russia are allies, strategic allies. Russian scientists were helping Iran develop their nuclear program. They understand Donald Trump's illegal bombing of those three nuclear sites in Iran had Russian scientists working at them. So Iran went straight to fucking Russia. Hey, we got to talk. We can't be having Donald J. Trump bombing fucking Iranian nuclear enrichment sites with Russian fucking scientists, the smartest Russians, the ones not living in Russia participating in their war machine, are helping other countries with nuclear enrichment. And here's the way I think about it. They're going to do it anyway. There's going to be whole ass countries that develop nukes that shouldn't have them. So you got to have nuclear power. You got to have nuclear electric power and you got to have a bevy of nukes and you got to keep them updated. And you got to keep making more powerful and more better long range explosive weapons because uh over the course of time, you know how you watch a movie and you're like it's kind of dumb. That's not how I would do it. But they got to go up in space and they got to drill on an asteroid and they got to blow it up so that it breaks up into pieces and it goes around us instead of makes direct contact because if it does, we all die, right? Mm-mm. But yeah, I want to make sure you send my video where I say like this isn't how war works. You got to formally declare war. You got to have the approval of Congress. You got to have your military advisors telling you we got to take military action, and you got to be weighing the consequences and making decisions. And one of the things I want to continue to point out, because I don't think we're headed in for World War III. I think what will happen is Donald Trump did X, Iran will retaliate, however that is, in whatever equal measure. I'm guessing U.S. military sites worldwide are in danger. And Iran and Middle Eastern people, they will absolutely sacrifice themselves for their cause. So that just means more people running around with vests full of dynamite. So everybody thinks like I'm on YouTube today because I got fucking kicked off of TikTok. I think I said nuclear holocaust twice in a row. But it was mostly like if you die because there's a nuclear holocaust, I die on them. Yes, LARPing. Donald Trump always chickens out. He didn't execute the mission and then talk about it later. He wanted to talk about it and then do it. And you can't fucking do that shit strategically. That's not in your interest, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I got kicked off TikTok again. I mean, think about this though. I wasn't addressing the comments like that. It was like somebody was like, "I'm not worried about us being at war. We're like a warring country. That's what the fuck we do. I'm worried about dying in a nuclear holocaust." And I was like, "Well, if you die in a nuclear holocaust, I die in a nuclear holocaust. We're not doing that nuclear holocaust shit." and we got banned, straight up fucking banned. Like 2 minutes later, in my head, I was like, oh, I said Holocaust. We were talking about nuke shit. I said AI. I was about to read the article two, but I actually like going back and thinking about it. It's like, was it article two? Is that what got us fucking kicked off TikTok? Which it talks about the delineation of powers. You know, how it shows how the president, it doesn't say in the presidential powers that Donald Trump even has the ability to declare war. It's not one of his powers. I read his fucking powers to you. He does it say anywhere eliminate funding for, fire a bunch of people, go to war? Does it say that? No, that's not within his range scope of power. I'm just pointing it out. Just pointing it out. And I'm not talking about flying planes into shit. We're at a point now where whole ass countries are like the United States is a fucking virus. I would be more concerned about our friends that are Americans that are traveling abroad. And all of a sudden them becoming very valuable hostages because your president will absolutely negotiate with terrorists. Yep. Donald Trump will always chicken out on you. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I think we'll be back. I don't think I don't think that there's a justification for a ban. I've said before, like I feel like I deserve that. I think I'm in a good headspace about TikTok. It's like it's cool. It's cool because you think you just have a way bigger audience than you do, but I care about y'all. Like I'm actually having a conversation with y'all. I actually know y'all. I'm happy to see y'all. I don't give a fuck about none of those people on TikTok. I don't know none of them people. Crush, maybe. But Crush goes wherever I go. So if I'm on Clapper, she's on Clapper. If I'm on TikTok, she's on TikTok. Right? She here. Right? Like what the fuck ever. I don't care about TikTok. TikTok's what got me to you, right? Oh. You know how I keep ducking and dodging and diving and dipping like everybody else? We keep having these storms and for some reason it keeps missing us. It finally got us. It got us. So I have a branch down, uh, probably 20-foot long. The break is 20 feet off the ground. It's leaning on my roof. And then there's another whole ass section of this tree that is just laying over my house. It's not down, but when the guy came out, he goes, "Oh, I see the broken branch. Yeah, I'll fix that. That's like a couple $100." And then he was like, what are you gonna do about this?" And when he did that, my brain broke, and it was just like, huh? What are you talking about? And it was a little Latino man, and he's like, hombre, back up, bro. And I backed up, and I was like, oh my God, like that whole fucking tree is just leaning over my house. And he was like, yeah, that's you gotta 500. And I was like, oh, yeah, just that, yeah, if you can. And then he was like, and then you need to, I'll fix this one, and I'll fix this one, and that's a couple $100. I was like, okay. And he was like, and I'll clean your gutters and then I'll fix your yard. I told him I'm jealous of my neighbors. They all have badass yards and my yard looks like a fucking zoo. But I have animals and I'm just afraid about using chemicals in my yard that'll kill my animals. That'll make my animals sick. And he goes, 24 hours? So I spray your yard and then spray like once you put the chemical on it, you just want to keep your dogs off it for a day? And I was like, oh. And he was like, and that I'm gonna have to call you. I'm gonna have to charge you $100 the first time I come out because I'm about to lay it on really thick because this yard's never been treated. And I was like, no, I've been here 7 years and never put anything in my yard. I have a fucking electric mower. I don't own a trimmer or an edger. I don't think that's like my yard is not my personality. My yard is my dog's space, right? Like it's just where my dogs roam. I don't give a shit what grows there. But then I look at my neighbors and they don't have a fucking weed in their yard. And it looks like a golf course. And I'm just like, all right, fine. How much is that? And he said $80 a week. And I was like, $80 a week to look like theirs? And he was like, yeah, 9 months a year. And I was like, okay. Do you do snow removal and shit? And he was like, it's like $50. Like, okay. You'll come like plow out the road all the way to my house and up my driveway. And he was like, yeah, I'll make sure you can get out. Trinity Landscaping, Indianapolis, Indiana. Dude, I made a phone call. I left a voicemail. He texted me. I'll come over today. He came. I had just gotten a phone call, so I had to wait to the part of the call where you could put him on hold and run outside and talk to him, let him run around my yard and tell him what he needed to do, how much it's gonna cost. 2 grand for everything. Plus like $80 a week to mow. Start next week. Sold. Little Latino man. hmm don't hardly speak English, but like it's my people. I can understand it. We're good. That's the thing about me is I can understand multiple dialects. Like because I've been working on the phone for over a decade. I have the face for radio. Okay? So I've been selling shit to people over the phone for over a decade. And when you do, you have to be able to understand a Latino accent, a fucking Southern accent, a Cajun accent, a Southern Cajun accent is the most marbles in mouth fucking way to speak English. It sounds like somebody doesn't. It's like they have dentures and a mouthful of marbles, and you're trying to talk. Um, and then my favorite thing is black people, how they white up their voice, and how my goal is to get them to not talk to me like that because it's fucking depressing. Um, it's like you do not have to church it up, please. I was in the Marine Corps infantry. Trust me, I've heard worse. And then they're like, "Oh my God, thank you." So I can just cuss. I'm like, "You can cuss." I'm not. But by the way, it goes without saying. You knew that I was blessed with good sales karma because I'm like a good person. Uh, but your boy's been on a fucking heater. Yeah, that's right. This whole last week, chef's kiss. Gotta have more weeks like that. I sold 3 or more deals every day. Yeah, every day for a week. That's the goal. That was the goal. I hit my goal. My goal was to have 3+ deals a day every day in a week. Deb said morning overslept. It's good for you. That was a good thing. Your brain needed the rest. Know that what Donald Trump did was illegal. He does not have the power to declare war. And also, he telegraphed that bombing so bad that Iran was able to move their entire nuclear arsenal, which this speaks to Israel being a shitty partner. I just want to point this shit out. How the fuck did Israel not have eyes on those and know that the nuclear shit had been moved? Yeah, what the fuck? Y'all are the worst. And we're like beholden to that. You know what I'm saying? We give those motherfuckers all kinds of shit. For the purpose of talking points with MAGA, does Trump have to discuss the attack with Congress for front? Yeah. Any military action. The reason that it went through is the pilots knew that the sites were empty. CC said they kick you off for the way you look at the camera. I don't think so. It'd be crazy. I think they kicked me off because I said nuclear holocaust twice in about 10 words, and I think it broke their AI. And I'm one of those people that I'm right as soon as it leaves my mouth. As soon as I said that, you're like, "Yes, you idiot. You broke the fucking AI." Like it wasn't The only other thing I could be was when the guy asked me if I would read Article 2, please. Like, read it out loud. And I said, no, I'm going to read this AI blurb. And as soon as I said, because the AI blurb, I read it and was like, that has the thought in it that I want to relay. That's what AI is good for, by the way. AI is good if you have a question and you don't have a dad, right? And you just ask, hey, just ask ChatGPT, just ask dad, right? If you ask me, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. Right. I'm gonna Google it. I'm gonna read the AI overview, and then I'm gonna go look at the sources. Okay. Now, if the information that are the most relevant sources are like good sources of information, then that AI overview has credibility because it's a summarization of those sources. And again, I know that I'm miles ahead of you. I know. I know. I know. I hate it. It's the reason I dropped out. Yeah, it was for show, Crystal. Because you got to think about denying Donald Trump that and the negative impact on your career when you know that he talked about it for so long that everyone involved in the military knew that those sites were empty. And that's why he did it. That's why he did it. It's about shock and awe. It's not about results. It's that he did it. See, they're testing. Give you the camera the evil eye. I didn't I didn't know that uh I didn't know that I give the camera an evil eye. That's funny. I do I do try to act as though like I'm breaking the fourth wall, right? What I'm doing is not performance, by the way. I'm not storyboarding. I'm not laying awake at night thinking about how I'm gonna be when I'm around y'all. I'm just myself. And like I've said from moment one, regardless of what happens here, how big the audience gets or what's happening, what I was going to be doing was sitting at my fucking computer and looking at the news anyway. I was going to be right here doing this. That camera is there anyway, right? Yeah. Yeah, it was for show. It was absolutely not successful. It was illegal. It's about shock and awe. It's about if he wants, he can put bombs on your fucking doorstep, right? And he did it to force Iran to negotiate with Russia. Remember, Iran went to Russia. They didn't come to the United States and say, let's sign a truce, let's not do this shit. No, they went to fucking Russia because Russia and Iran are strategic partners and allies. And the reason that the United States bombed Iran is because Benjamin Netanyahu was the highest bidder. Yes, this was a distraction from the fact that the current Department of Justice is forcing Colorado to turn over all records related to the 2024 US election. So this was all meant to distract us from this, in my eyes. The Department of Justice is going through I want to say University of Colorado, going through the state of Colorado to force Colorado to turn over their 2024 US election results. It's not a good thing. It's like they're trying to hide the evidence. Remember, Donald Trump's an idiot. This is stupid. He went to Mar-a-Lago last year and they planned this. Yep. TikTok sucks. Yeah, I'm not even worried about it. Where's Musk been? Oh, he still has his hands on all this. Remember, So here's, by the way, the worst people you know are like, World War III's here. See, it's because they're stupid. They don't know. They don't understand how it works. I want all the people that think we should protect Israel. I want you to go live in Israel and protect Israel. I don't want you around. It's Edmund. It's my buddy who Howland. He gets lonely. Oh, here's Elon Musk. You know he couldn't go without the attention. He's the scorned lover, right? Remember to join a union. I joined Work in America. Okay. Remember that there is a protest, an organized protest against this regime every single day called the May Day movement. Let's say you don't live in Washington, D.C., but you might go to an occasional protest. Well, let me share with you 5050.1, indivisible.org. Time. Now that you know that the President of the United States illegally bombed Iran, created an enemy, by the way, who whose first course of action was not to retaliate against the United States. They went to Russia. Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are taken aback that are like, what the fuck is this idiot doing? He bombed, he telegraphed what he was going to do because he's a chicken. Donald Trump always chickens out. He telegraphed and he waffled and he said, I'll strike him in 2 weeks. I'll make a decision in 2 weeks, right? He was not strategic at all. Here's an article that came before the Department of Justice decided they wanted Colorado's election results. As doubts grow over 2024 results, Trump spins spotlight back to 2020. So understand Donald Trump is raising calls about the 2020 election as a flag that goes up in front of. But know that, again, what Donald Trump did here, reprehensible, not at all a good thing. Yeah, so that's what he said. That's what I said. I'm just worried about my doggies. That's why I never treated my yard and I don't have raised beds, none of that. And he said I can do your raised beds too. I was like, okay. Yeah. And I don't have grass. I have a bunch of weeds. But there's chemicals you can put in your grass that are pet friendly. And he said the pet friendly stuff, you just try to keep them off it for 24 hours, and then it shouldn't have any effect on your animals at all if you keep them off that grass for 24 hours. hmm Hey, and the good news is the dogs are walking in my front yard around the property edge because they're terrible on a leash. So I'm training them to be able to walk them off my property. I want my grass to look nice. I told the guy I didn't want to use harsh chemicals, and that's why I didn't. I'm doing everything that I can do. My yard looks like shit, and my neighbors' yards all look really nice. They'll be able to run on it again one day. It's not that deep. I can understand people with heavy accent like this carefully. What I learned was Lil Jon said, "Don't start no shit, won't be no shit." And I work in sales. So if you think about, I'm not going to let anything deter me from winning. I'm just going to get you as far into the script and I'm going to get to the money. Here's how much I can save you. How do you want to pay for it? That's fucking sales 101. Okay. So when somebody has a heavy accent, it's a lot of, okay. And I'm going to keep going because the only thing that matters is the answer to my questions. Everything else is nonsense. And so if you got a heavy accent and I got to let my brain try to decipher that shit, I'm shelving it. Yep. Keep going. Of course. You too. Absolutely. Not a problem at all. hmm And just keep it fucking moving. hmm I ain't never letting an accent get to me until they get to the part where they want to ask questions, and I gotta like pick out the participles of words that I can understand and try to organize those and formulate a response in a timely fashion. But yeah, the southern Cajun American accent, where they are definitely speaking English, but they have both the Cajun accent and a southern accent. It's just white, black, brown, doesn't matter. Mm-mm. Ro Khanna calls for all members of Congress to immediately return to DC and vote to stop Donald Trump from doing shit like this. Keep this in mind. The reason the military went along with it is because those bombing sites had been evacuated. All that shit had been cleared out. You bombed a bunch of concrete. The people that will suffer from those are shrapnel from those bombs. It's really sad. It's really sad. It shows you how weak and fucking powerless the president of the United States really is. And good. It's for good reason. He can't do something meaningful. And I want to make sure that I use my platform to say we're not at war. There's been no formal declaration of war. Congress didn't approve shit. They weren't even there. I wonder, CC says, I wonder how Dumpy Pants' flight will go when he goes to The Hague Tuesday. I think that was the plan. I think this was the plan. It's crazy. Mark Root. The Hague is beautiful in the summer. You should visit. Somebody said was also in Project 2024. Yeah. Half of them didn't even get briefed about it. Yep. I want to make sure you know that this is the sick fantasies of these do nothings. hmm This is the sick fantasies of them fucking do nothings. They didn't. This is not impressive. I'm not impressed with this. I don't. Not only is what we did not good. I'm not impressed. You telegraphed an airstrike. You talked about it. We're gonna decide in the next 2 weeks and shit. And it's like, what? You carried out some whack shit. It's just garbage. There's like the people that flew that mission that dropped those bombs are gonna feel nothingness. They didn't do anything. What they did was effectively a training run. Yeah, I wish. I wish. I wish. This upcoming week. Are you ready? I'll make a wish. I'll wish that. Oh, that's crazy. It's 9/12. That's my wife's birthday, and she obsesses over that number. That means it's coming true. I wish that the worst people in the world all get arrested at The Hague, and Jack Smith comes back for the 40th time. Yep. I just want to make sure everyone understands that Russia's our enemy. And my favorite thing that I'm finding out about all of this is that the Iron Dome is failing over and over and over again. So Israel has been doing this shit since 1948, and they developed over time this Iron Dome that somehow kept Tel Aviv intact, and it's failing, and and Israel's getting bombed the shit out of. And good. I want the dismantling of the Israeli state. That's what I want. I want it completely. I want it. I don't know about like destroy that country. It sounds an awful lot like what shit like they say, but like Israel should not exist. There should not be an imperialist, expansionist regime in the Middle East in a tight quarters trying to bully their neighbors and shit and take their land and shit like that. Like literally taking people's houses. If I don't take it, they'll take it. And it's like, the fuck? Imagine somebody came along and just kicked you out of your house and said, it's my house now. And you just let it happen because they have a gun. That's what Israel is doing. Ro Khanna posted on social media that he wanted everybody, all the congressmen, people to come back so they can limit the president's ability to do shit like this. Because clearly he'll do shit like this. So Jack has not gone. He's still in the works, I believe. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't seen any indication that Jack Smith's doing anything other than trying to survive. Because you know he's being targeted. Hmm. A lot of people are upset with me and they're like, Jared, they've infiltrated, Palantir has infiltrated the military. And the best part about it is, once you join the military, you're subject to the UCMJ, which is much stricter than the civilian penal code. So good. I'm glad those people are subject to the UCMJ. Good. Hmm? He looks impotent. Stephen Miller is impotent. And because he's bald and impotent, he's full of rage and he's taking it out on everyone else because he hates his wife because she doesn't love him. She just used him. Donald Trump, or not Donald Trump, Stephen Miller is what happens when teachers are a little too uh want to fight and themselves and break up every fight and don't let fights happen. Some people just need their ass kicked, probably multiple times over the course of their life to figure their shit out. One of the things that I did when somebody was picking on me is I beat their ass real bad. And I made sure they knew, hey, the next time you fuck with me, I'm not stopping until you bleed. Savvy? So it's one thing for me to pick you up and slam you and then headlock you and try to choke you to death. But I'm letting you know the next time I'm going to close my fist and start punching you in the face. And then you're going to bleed. You're not going to like that. And you're going to go cry to your fucking mommy. And when your daddy comes around and he puts his fucking hands on me, I'm going to beat his ass too. So I'm letting you know I'm not the one. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be bothered. I'm a simple kid, right? But that was my childhood. Was people trying to fucking bully on me and punk me. Hmm? Oh yeah, but they got that swiftness. Oh, Republicans should be pissed. You should be pissed. I would be pissed too. Remember, the only reason that the military agreed to do this is because they knew that those nuclear enrichment sites were empty. Imagine what happens militarily. Imagine what happens politically if Donald Trump bombs nuclear enrichment sites in Iran and they've got all that nuclear armament there. You kill all those people in Iran. And remember, the whole reason they're doing this is so Israel can expand. Israel is committing a fucking a genocide in Gaza as a means of expansion. Remember, Israel was founded in 1948. No, don't think Miller is the Donnie Whisperer. I think Vladimir Putin talks to Elon, who talks to Donald Trump, And because there's two people involved in Donald Trump receiving orders that English isn't their first language, that's why shit comes out all fucked up. It's without any respect to the way we do shit here. They're the unfuckables. There's a clear title and distinction between the people that you dislike the most. Think about them. We could sit here and name them. Who are the unfuckables? Elon Musk, Donald Trump, uh, Bezos, Sachs, Zuckerberg, right? Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Bezos, Sachs, Zuckerberg. Um, who else is a billionaire? Look at Mike Lindell, right? Unfuckable, right? Look at everyone in his fucking cabinet is just like an unfuckable cuck. Like, what are we talking about? Like, am I wrong? Like, look at Stephen Miller looks impotent. I'll say he looks weak and powerless. Looks like a man screaming into a microphone because his kids won't listen to him and his wife won't suck his dick. But she'll suck Elon Musk's weird fucking thing. I've heard that if you find a condom big enough and you put his balls inside, that Elon Musk's area looks dick-like. I mean, look at all the women too. I mean, the thing that you have to do when you sell your soul is become ugly. And like, yeah, and did you see how Israel came out and was like, our base is in a hospital. How dare you bomb a hospital? And it's like, didn't you accuse Hamas of hiding in hospitals and shit and use that to justify bombing hospitals? Wasn't that you? Yeah, I hate this. I hate this timeline. Lindell just lost his defamation case here in Denver. Good. 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 You think you're gonna put boots here? No. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a terrorist attack. Um, you want to talk about a false flag? That's what that op was, where we went in and bombed these nuclear enrichment sites, but we telegraphed it so bad they got to move all that shit out of the way. It was zero CAS, zero impact. They're gonna run out and call it a success, and all it did would stir up international tensions, deepen conflict between Israel and Iran. Yeah, it's such a shame that Mike Lindell is such a fucking loser. That unfuckable twat. Yep. Man, they really must be reviewing Mike shit. It's been 45 plus minutes and I haven't heard anything from TikTok. They don't want me back on that platform, huh? You know, one of the things that bothers me is that people are like working with people that used to be close to Donald Trump. And it's like, how could you call yourself a close associate of Donald Trump knowing all the shit we know about Donald Trump? You know that he's a horrible racist, a horrible womanizer, a bad businessman. You know he may have boots here. I don't know what you're saying, Deb. And I don't know where here is. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. No, Congress is not approving the big beautiful bill. Congress is also not approving going to war. Donald Trump is a fucking toddler. The only reason that that mission got flown is because all the nuclear material had been moved from those sites. That's the only reason that shit went off is because it was zero CAS. Nobody got hurt or died. And the only people that got hurt or died, it was regular civilians. Who cares? Keep in mind, Israel, for the last several days, Israel has been saying, we killed your former leader. And it's like, nope, he's still alive. So, Israel, I hate this shit. I hate it. I hate all this shit. Would Iran, one of the things you got to understand about the Middle Eastern people is they will sacrifice themselves for the greater good. So it's not so much about like flying planes into buildings. It's like walking into a crowd of people with a vest on. That's what I'm fucking worried about. Kamikaze style. What do you think? Like people envision, they have this vision of the United States getting invaded. And it's just like, calm down there, cowboy. Do you know why we built the U.S. Highway transportation system? So we could move military assets in position overnight on the ground. That's why we have roads. We have a huge fucking military. And that's active duty. We also have a huge reserve component. You also have 4 guns per household on average in the United States. So you're never invading us. You don't have enough military power. So how do you destroy the United States? Racism, cronyism, fascism, oligarchy, kleptocracy. Yeah. Yep. So don't think of it like, oh, I'm worried about the Iranian military retaliating against the United States. What would be a like attack? You know what Iran wouldn't do? Telegraph it so that we could move all personnel and assets away from the areas knowing it's coming, like Iran was. Do you think direct action on US soil is what's going to happen? Or do you think it's all of the Americans abroad who are in danger? Whether you're on active duty, whether you're traveling. Hey, the bottom line is, don't be surprised if crazy people don't just start slitting fucking American throats all over the world. Just don't be surprised. That's how I feel. Dead ass. Everybody thinks it's like direct military action. It's like, no, it's the way the world views Americans. That's what I'm fucking scared about. Is not being able to go anywhere without them being like, "Oh, white boy, Trump, huh?" Telling you, telling you. So yeah, everybody's all wrapped up in direct conflict, and it's like, hey, come on, nobody's invading us. Yeah, it's hot. My wife today asked me like, will you mow the backyard so I can put down a doggy pool today for the dogs? It's gonna be really hot. Yeah, I can manage that. So I'm just concerned about all Americans that are abroad. There's a lot of people that believe in exceptionalism, right? And they think, I'm pretty sure that's what I'm talking about. Exceptionalism is the belief that a nation, region, group, or individual is fundamentally different from and potentially superior to others. So I try to warn about, I try to warn in my content about the dangers of ego and how, one of the reasons that I don't ask for money is because I don't think what I'm doing is worth money. It's like I have the belief that what I'm doing is without a price, meaning priceless, and thus asking for money is beneath me. That's how I think about it. What I'm doing is worth so much money that asking for money is not worth anything to me. Um, because I'm not a capitalist. I don't look at everything I do as a means of capitalization. I need to get on that. Crush said both kids are graduating this week. One graduating in elementary school, one graduating high school. Wish me luck. Good luck, Crush. Congratulations. So far you're nailing parenting. Yeah. Military bases. Yeah, I would be worried about attacks on military bases abroad, attacks on Americans abroad. You got to think about what's cheap and effective. How about the kidnapping of American tourists? The kidnapping of Americans in Israel, for example. People that have left their identities behind and now call themselves Israeli, the kidnapping of those people. Deep ties to the Israeli cause, um, and are American. So if you know anyone, and I don't. Just like I've never met anyone that's a Democrat or Republican, I've also never met anyone that openly supports Russia or Israel. I told you I've been a very social person, and I have met one person in my life that did that kind of shit. That was like, I'm Israeli. And it was like, you're not Israeli, you're fucking Persian. Your dad's from India and he's a doctor. And your mom is from another part of fucking India. You're not fucking Israeli. And that's the conversations that you are going to have with someone who is pro Israel. Is like, are you Israeli? Oh, okay. So you've been to Tel Aviv? You were born there? Oh, you were not born in Tel Aviv. Oh, you were not born abroad. You were born in the United States. Okay, so you're an American. Do you understand the reason that a lot of these fucks exist? Keep in mind, most of them are bots. 90% of people that are pro Trump are bots. So remember, most likely bots, but the actual people that still support this shit, that are cheerleading this shit, A lot of U.S. retirees in Panama. Yeah. Targeting that because they don't have a sitting military. The easy military target. You have no opposition. And so it's again, I'm not necessarily I'm more worried about like kidnapping and torture than I am military might. You know, I want Iran to crush Israel. That's what I want. Hmm. Like I want to see Iran just obliterate Israel, Tel Aviv. Hmm. You know what I want to see? I want to see Israeli bodies flying through the air from an explosion, and I want to laugh at that. Just like I've watched people on TV watch a little Palestinian kid get blown the fuck up and their body fly across the screen and they laughed at that shit. I want to do that, but I want it to be in Tel Aviv and I want it to be Israeli people getting blown the fuck up. That's what I want to watch. Super cuts of that. That's what I want to watch. Put that shit in my veins. That's where I am on Israel. And all the people. hmm There are a lot of like Jewish people that were looking for like a safe place to live, and so they ended up in Israel. And I feel bad for the people that want no part of this regime, but that are Jewish and therefore live in Tel Aviv and shit and tried to make that their space. And they're going to be unfortunate victims. But there are far more people that sympathize with this shit and think that it is okay and think that, oh, America, we are allies with Israel and it's un-American to not support our allies. And it's like, no, you chuckle fuck. Once you realize that they have been committing a fucking genocide for years, that shit died a long time ago, doggy. And if it didn't die a long time ago, if any reverence you had for Israel, if that didn't die the moment you found out they were committing a genocide, then what will you do once you find out that the Israel of today is not the Israel from the Bible, that Israel today was founded in 1948 by then the head of the Jewish agency, David Ben-Gurion, and its entire purpose was to be a mirror of the United States in terms of expansionism and imperialism. So they were looking to settle in the Middle East, a country, and expand, which is going to be hard to do when you got all these tribes fighting in the Middle East for control of the Middle East. We found this out in Iraq, right? So I showed you a little eat the rich. Y'all have a good rest of your day. Try to take it easy out there. Try not to get too riled up. And no, we're not at war. Stop saying we're at fucking war. War requires congressional approval. And when you make your initial strike, you don't telegraph it so they get to move their targets out of the way. And oh, by the way, if you hadn't fucking done that, do you know how much worse it would be? Do you know how much worse it would be if there had been a bunch of nuclear material there? Do you know how wildly fucking irresponsible it is to open up a campaign by bombing their nuclear sites? Do you know how fucking stupid that is? Anyway, we're in a stupid